Hello everyone, this is Roxas1359. Welcome to the second game of the Summer of Bits, Kirby's Adventure. Kirby's Adventure was created and developed by HAL Laboratory, published by Nintendo in 1993 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This game had come out already while the Super Nintendo was out for 3 years in Japan and was out already inside of the United States and inside of PAL regions. Now, Kirby's Adventure is quite a gorgeous looking game for an NES title, obviously, since it's so late in the game, and that's one thing that HAL Laboratory is very good at. They make some very well and very pretty looking games considering the hardware limitations they have. This game introduces the abilities of copy abilities, where Kirby can inhale certain enemies and take their powers, such as fire, as is being seen on screen. Before this, Kirby could not take abilities in his first game, Kirby's Dreamland. We also have other abilities such as Spark, Freeze, UFO, and many others that are inside this game. A lot of them were changed and have still been used to this day in the Kirby franchise, such as the ever-iconic Sword ability. Now, for Kirby's Adventure, this is the actual second time I'm playing this game, because Kirby's Adventure, I've not really played too much. I've played it once before, but that's about it. And after that, I usually just go to the other Kirby games, such as, Kirby Triple Deluxe. But this game is interesting to see where the abilities got their start and which abilities were the first ones that Kirby could use as his copy abilities. And believe me, a lot of them he can use. But how will this game be handled? This will be a 100% run, ladies and gentlemen, which means we're going to be getting ourselves all the hidden switches that are available in the game. And here's our story. One day, the peaceful life of Dreamland was shattered by a mysterious crisis. The inhabitants didn't dream. On the edge of the Dreamland, dreams and hopes once gushed forth from the Dream Spring, fueled by the Star Rod. See, it wasn't from Paper Mario first, it came from Kirby's Adventure. Investigating the Dream Spring, Kirby found naughty King Dedede swimming in its magical waters. Oh, that prick. Way to go, Dedede. Dedede had broken the Star Rod and given the pieces to his friends, who are now hiding in Dreamland. Uh-oh, that's not good at all. To bring back the lost dreams, Kirby sought the Star Rod, and thus, Kirby's Adventure begins. Our goal is simple. We must beat through all the levels in the game and get back the pieces of the Star Rod, starting with level 1, Vegetable Valley. You're gonna notice a trend with Kirby games. They usually use alliteration in the titles, something that Sonic tends to do as well. So here's how the game is set up. There are levels that you can go through with doors, and once you go through the doors, you're able to continue on with the game. Each level you end up beating opens up a new pathway with a flag. Some levels will have hidden switches within them that will unlock more on the overworld area, and that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. To get 100%, you're going to need to get all of the switches. We won't be getting our first switch for a while, though. Now, with Kirby in this game, usually whenever he gets hit, he generally drops his copy ability. If he drops his copy ability, you can absorb it again. Controls for this game are pretty simple. You can use the D-pad or the analog stick, in my case, to control Kirby. If you double tap it, you will end up dashing, which is good for me. I love it when Kirby can run. You use the B button to inhale, the A button to jump, and if you hold up, you will fly. Kirby can fly infinitely in this game, as he does not get tired. Thing is, though, I tend to hit up because you can jump with up as well, and when I end up jumping with up, I end up inflating. To get rid of the, I guess, how would I explain it? The inhalation that Kirby does, if that is even a word. Pretty much what you end up doing is you hit the B button while you're in the air, so then Kirby can descend. And that can get annoying because I don't use the jump button much. Anyway, whenever you beat a level, you get this little mini game here. Press A at the right time. If you get to 1, you'll get an extra life. In this case, though, I didn't. I got a 4. Anyway, we've opened up a new area. So, why don't we go into this little door, which is Crane Fever. Use the buttons to move the crane and try and get a Kirby. A big one's hard to get, but worth it. Now, as you're gonna see for this first crane game, I'm terrible with this. What you have to do is you have to hold the A button, not just tap it. I wish the game was a little bit more clear on that. Because to do that, what you have to do is you have to hold the A button, and then once you let it go, wherever it is let go from is where the crane will drop. So this is when I figured that out, and I'm like, okay, but I ended up stopping a little bit too early, so I don't think I'm gonna grab the fat Kirby. Nope. The fat Kirby would give you 2 lives, the small Kirby would give you 1 life, so always go for the fat Kirbys. And just like real crane games, I suck at them and get no bonuses. Whenever you go through one of the little bonus rooms, it locks itself. I believe it does open itself up later on if you so need it to, but we can't use it, unfortunately. Now, interesting part about Kirby's Adventure that's available on the Dream Collection is that you can actually use the classic controller as opposed to just having to use the Wiimote sideways, and I find that to be a little bit more comfortable. The controls on that one changes a bit. The X button could also be to regularly jump along with the A button, and I generally use the X button for that. Mainly it's because I just like having, you know, extra buttons to control, and I like my little hoary battle pad. Anyway, here we have our first enemy boss. What you have to do for this one is deplete their health before they kill you, and then you can absorb them. In this case, we'll get the Crash ability, as Bomb does not actually exist inside of Kirby's Adventure. I believe Bomb was added in... Which Kirby game was Bomb added in? I want to say Dreamland 2 or 3 is where Bomb came from. Anyway, you gotta watch out for this guy. I take one more hit and I will die. Kirby has a life system, but don't worry, I won't die too much, but I will die in this project as opposed to, you know, Kirby's Dreamland, because, you know, Kirby games, they're easy, but that doesn't mean that you can do no death runs easily sometimes. And seeing as how this is technically the second time I'm ever fully playing through this game 100%, yeah, you can't blame me. Anyway, that blue enemy looked like it would have given you ice, but it gives you fire. That's one thing that HAL Laboratory did a lot to try and differentiate enemies. They ended up changing some of their colors around. So we're going to be seeing things like this purple Waddle Doo instead of the normal red Waddle Doo, or we have cases of a green Waddle Doo as well. I think this is the only game that truly ever did that. Now, one thing about Kirby's Adventure that I noticed a lot on the Dream Collection is there is slowdown in areas. The game's supposed to run in 60 frames per second, but there is a lot of slowdown, I will admit. Anyway, I was supposed to get that beam ability because you can't shoot fire upwards, because in this game, the abilities don't really have combo potential like they do in later Kirby games. So, we're gonna absorb you, and it looked like the Maxim tomato disappeared, but in reality, it just popped in and out, which is why I ended up deciding to go back for it. Now, enemies end up respawning when you go far enough off screen, so you can simply just come back. Let's use Beam, which you can't really tell it's Beam because he doesn't have the rod yet. This is before he ended up getting the wand for Beam. Probably too much for the game, because this is pretty much pushing the NES to its limits. This is a gorgeous NES game and a gorgeous 8-bit game in general. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if some people get confused and think that this was an early SNES title, although the colors on the SNES were a lot more prominent, I will admit. But, looks like we're going for an all-4 run. No, we're not going for an all-4 run, don't worry. But, that opens that up. Now, when the door turns to a white color, that means that you've beaten the level 100%. That also means that there isn't a switch within the level. Certain levels have switches. I don't think we're going to be getting to our first one until, at the earliest, 3rd level in the game, Butter Building, which is going to be a fun level because I end up getting a little bit wrecked in that one. It's also probably going to be the longest of the areas so far. I haven't recorded the game fully at this point. I'm about well over 50% done with it though. Anyway, I want to get Fireball, so let's try and get that. Now, copy abilities, you can end up getting rid of them by hitting the select button. That will cause them to disappear out. Now, I love the Fireball ability. This is an ability that was later completely removed in the game and instead was given to Flame to simply be its running dash attack. Anyway, let's try and get that back before it breaks. That's the thing about copy abilities as well. They will end up disappearing after a while because they will break, or the moment you end up absorbing another copy ability, that other ability you had will instantly break. It wouldn't be until Kirby's Adventure on the Wii, otherwise known as Kirby Return to Dreamland, that you could actually have partners carry your other abilities before they break. You could also differentiate between abilities and other things inside it, because inside this game, all it is, they're just looking like regular stars. Anyway, we're just gonna keep grabbing Fireball. Of course, the Spark enemy would hit me out of it, so I lost it. So guess what? I'm just going to ignore it. I don't need it. I don't need you. I'm fine without it. I'm not fine without it. I love Fireball. It's one of my favorite early on abilities in the Kirby universe, because I just love the dash attack. Fire's good, but you have to stand still when you're shooting the flames, which is annoying. But let's shoot up again. To a straight 1 in Vegetable Valley. Looks like we're getting straight 4s for Vegetable Valley. Speaking of 4, let's go on to level 4. I'll shut up now. Alright, just gonna hold still as shooting fire. Fire is always good to shoot. Alright, going up. Nope. Dang it. Nope, going away. And here we have our first boss against our... I forget what his name is. I always have a hard time with Kirby names. But he gives you the freeze ability. Freeze is just like fire, only it's ice. This is before you have the ability to skate around and move, which I love that little graphical touch where you skate. You can turn them into ice cubes and shoot the ice cubes out, which is very beneficial to people. Looks like we're getting a lot of sprite flickering. Not to the level of Mega Man, mind you, but we're still getting some pretty good sprite flickering, that's for sure. Right? Ow. That would have given us Needle if I had absorbed it. Of course, I'm trying to get my Frost back, but I ended up losing it, so go me. But we can get ourselves some Beam, if I so desire it. Or I could just completely ignore it. That works too. Nope, get over here. So, let's get Beam, break open the door, and run across here. I believe we're gonna get some more Needle enemies, and our first invincibility candy thrown by that mysterious figure. I wonder who that was. That was Meta Knight. We're gonna be seeing him a lot within this game, ladies and gentlemen, believe me. This marks Meta Knight's actually first debut within the Kirby franchise, and believe me, he looks kind of odd in how he does. But let's get sword, shall we? We gotta be a noble knight. Tackle our ultimate boss for the first world, which is always the same boss. Oh, I broke my 4 streak. I had to get a 2. Darn it. But after you beat level 4, you unlock the Dedede room, which leads to one of Dedede's friends. We also have other rooms around here that I will explain later, such as this closed off room right here. But if we go inside this door, we go against our first main boss. Ladies and gentlemen, he's back with a vengeance. It's Whispy Woods. And by back with a vengeance, I mean he gets stun locked with sword, like so. And that takes care of Whispy Woods. Oh, Whispy, you're never a challenge.